Hello there everybody, it's uxwbill, and a couple days ago, earlier this week, I was heading around town going to pay my light bill, and one of the owners of a thrift store actually got my attention from all the way across the street, and so I went over to see what he wanted, and he said he had a stereo receiver that was going into protection mode and also a set of speakers that he was afraid might have been blown when he was driving them with stereo receiver. Well, the bad news is I went over there this Saturday, and the stereo receiver was once a nice Onkyo home theater receiver that looked like it'd been rode pretty hard and put away wet. Just absolutely filthy, and I don't know about it yet. I've got it out in the back of my truck to take a look at. And the speakers were just these cheap car speakers in a cabinet that were probably made of pressed polycrapylene and had a hilarious power rating printed on the back of them. And I'm sure that he drove them up to that power rating and found out that they weren't quite, they weren't exactly honestly specified. So those two things weren't particularly worthwhile, but I'm supposed to look at them and see if anything can be done about them. And the receiver, I may yet get that going. I don't know. If it needs a lot of work and expensive power devices, I simply don't think I'm going to put the time or the effort into it. But as I was looking around his store, I came across this little thing in a stack of black plastic crap turntables. This is yet another Technics piece of equipment. This is a DC servo automatic turntable system, model number SL-J11D, featuring computer control, which is just a fancy name for the simple logic circuits that let this thing run, and of course it has a linear tracking tone arm, as you can see from the setup here. There was another little problem with this thing as well. There were a bunch of problems. I guess I'll start with the biggest ones first. As found, this thing absolutely would not run. Turned out the belt had simply slipped off of the drive wheel on the motor, and so it was just hanging around loose underneath the turntable platter. That was very easy to fix. And the 45 RPM adapter that's actually built into this thing, I'll go ahead and get this record off of here. There it is. The built-in 45 RPM record adapter was somewhat discombobulated and was stuck in the up position. And it took a little bit of figuring out how to fix that. Took a little bit of figuring, but I got it, and now it works just exactly like it should. It pops up when you need it. You can push it down and turn it away when you don't. And so that solved the major mechanical problems of this turntable. Well, I took a look at the stylus on this thing, and there was another problem. I'm just going out on a limb and guessing here, but I think that cantilever is a wee little bit on the bent side. This was a nice Shure M104E cartridge, and I may try to find a stylus for it if one is still available. But if not, I may go with my old standby, an Audio Technica cartridge of some kind. In the meantime, I saved the cheap Empire Scientific LT cartridge, which you can't really see there, now can you? But I saved that cartridge from the Technics SL-J11D that I also picked up from this same thrift store a couple of months ago. And so this is not a particularly high-end cartridge, and I don't particularly care for its sound. It's kind of harsh and sibilant, if you ask me. But it is better than nothing, and it has allowed me to confirm that this turntable does indeed work. I haven't found much information about this turntable at all. I haven't found anything on the Vintage Technics website, and I haven't found any information about anyone who supposedly has one and can say more about it, other than some people don't have a very high opinion of it and think it's a piece of black plastic crap, which I'd have to differ with. This is a very simplistic turntable, but it should be decent. And of course it's a linear tracker, which has advantages all its own. But the thing that's interesting, although this thing is perfectly happy to run from 120 volt AC power at 60 cycles per second, I'm not sure this was originally delivered as a US model turntable, because here's something very interesting. Check out the size reading here. This size switch, as you'll notice, has 30 and 17 on it. Well, I've never heard of a 30 or a 17-inch record. Maybe a transcription disc would count as a 17-inch record. I think some of them were that big. Nope, those are centimeters. So I'm wondering if maybe this was not something along the lines of a Canadian turntable and would therefore have had metric measurements. Let's go ahead and give this thing a listen. This is actually one of the smallest turntables I have ever seen. I don't think it would be possible to make one much smaller than this, because as you can see, A 12-inch record pretty much fills the entire space edge to edge, and this thing has a horrific number of scratches and scuffs and boo-boos on it. I'm going to have to try polishing that and see if I can get some of those to come out because it looks pretty bad. For that reason alone, I think this is probably a keeper. Anyway, got a record on there right now. Let's go ahead and give this thing a little bit of a listen. It is interesting to note that the action of the stylus and tone arm on this thing is much faster than the SL-BL3 that's over there. Got a little Sansui 210 stereo receiver power tonight. That's because the Sherwood receiver that I was using is still working fine, but it's an RX4105 and doesn't have a phono input stage on it, so I had to get a receiver that did. Anyway, here you can see the actual action of the tone arm. And then I can set the cueing down electronically. And of course, when you reach the end of your record, this thing does have automatic cycling back and shutdown capabilities. And you can see that tone arm scoots right along. So there you have it, one demonstration of the Technics SL-J11D automatic linear tracking turntable system. Thank you for watching.